Hi, my friends. It's Wendy Passmore here. And as we're facing this lockdown yet again, I wonder if we could just take some time to prayerfully explore how I'm feeling in the midst of all this. And I wonder if there's anything good that's coming out of this in our lives. So let's just take a moment and invite the Spirit to be very present with us in this time of reflection, and that we might have the grace to be radically honest with what we're feeling and where we're at in the midst of all of this, and see if God might show up to us in a new way with a new revelation. So first of all, I wonder if we can just, if we have paper and pen or just quietly in our hearts, just reflect on where am I right now in this moment? How am I feeling as I face my activities and the life as I've known it, coming to a quieter place again? Perhaps we were just beginning to move out into embracing life, and we find ourselves back into this place of being shut down. So let's just take a moment to be honest about how I'm feeling and just bring that into the sacred presence here. Some adjectives might be anger. Maybe I'm afraid. I mean, the pandemic it just seems to be in the air everywhere. This virus. Am I coping with and dealing with fear? Am I dealing with loneliness and this sense of being alone? That all my connections are cut off at this moment in time. And how's that making me feel? And I would invite us to just be radically honest in the sacred presence, bringing this all before God. The reality of what I'm feeling, what I'm afraid of. Where's my fear? Perhaps I'm in the midst of knowing people. I know my stepdaughter in Australia is at home with COVID and has symptoms. And some very good friends, it's invaded their whole household. So perhaps there are those in our life and journey that are in the midst of suffering the effects of COVID. And perhaps we can just bring them into the sacred circle of prayer here, bringing them, maybe we can just name them, bringing them before God, praying for healing and God's presence with them. Maybe I'm absolutely going stir crazy. So just bring that into God's presence too. asking for help. We need grace, spiritual presence. I would just invite us all this week to take time to be radically honest with our feelings before God. We know that, if we think of the biblical story of Job, sitting on that dung heap and having so much ripped away from him. And he was so angry and upset, and he just was making his feelings known to God. And perhaps we're being invited to that same kind of place of really making our feelings known, being real and authentic about what's going on in our hearts. And I'd like us to take a moment or two now and just see if there's any positive or any grace or any silver lining that's come in the midst of this challenging time that we're all in. I know for me, this whole Zoom work, YouTube work, has opened up in a way that I would never have dreamed of, which I see as being an incredible silver lining. And the people I've met through Zoom, I would never have met otherwise. So I'm very grateful for those encounters and for those relationships that have formed. So maybe there's something in this that's been a silver lining for you. Can you just spend a few moments and think about that and reflect on that? Maybe you've discovered resources within yourself that you never knew were there in this. Maybe you've become comfortable in your own skin. Maybe you've connected with people in a way that you never had before. Or maybe it's been a time, I know it has for me, of just realizing what's really important in my life and letting go of that which really isn't. So maybe it's a time of doing a reflection on what matters in our life and creating a life that's more reflective of who I am. So perhaps we can all spend time with that this week as well. Just seeing if there's any treasure, any gold to be dug out from this experience that we've been in for the last couple of years. And I would just invite us all to be very aware of the people in our lives or remotely in our lives that perhaps are really suffering with loneliness and desperation, that we might be an instrument of grace to them, of friendship to them, of just making a call or whatever. And the last thing I would like us to maybe ponder is, as we begin 2022, what would our word be for the year? And often when we pick a word, it is overarching all the different dimensions of our life. Like I picked the word openness, that I want to remain open to the work maybe that continues to come my way through the Zoom open to my husband in new ways to really listen to him, open to possible new friendships, and maybe open to myself to discover more of who I am and who I'm called to be in the world. So, what is your word that will overarch your life? And perhaps when we find that word, we can put it on our fridge or on our phone, or just to remind us openness. When a call comes in that maybe I don't want to really be a part of, and I see that word openness, it reminds me, okay, I'm going to be open to what this is all about. So find a word that's going to speak to you throughout the year. So, a time to reflect on the good, the bad, and the ugly through this pandemic experience that we're all in. The whole world, the globe, is in this, and we're all somehow trying to find our way in and through it. So let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's open our hearts to a new spiritual path where God is at the center. Perhaps that's the big invitation. So, love and prayers, and till next time.